Okay, so I want to get part two done here. So what I was saying, as far as when you're in the moment, see, I don't want this being taken by the people there that I met and Tommy and DJ and Panda and them guys. I don't want this to seem like I'm betraying them in any way. I'm just trying to be honest. I'm just looking at it in my perspective. Other people might have a different opinion about these things, but again, I just want to stay. I'm the same person I was from the beginning. Nothing's changed. I haven't run out and pre-ordered one since the event. And I also don't hate on it. I'm just being honest. So, getting back to the games. Okay. So I just briefly went on with Tony, and I'm gonna go back on, but I wanted to get this out of the way, this part two, because I want to finish it up. Finnegan Fox. I was talking to them about this too. I played that at the event. I didn't feel like I was having a good time playing it though. Again, the uniqueness of the amico is the controller, right? But if if you can't configure it to how you want it, or it doesn't feel like it's taking a certain game's not taking advantage of the controller, then it takes away from being forced to use it. Like for instance, in Finnegan Fox, sometimes you have to double jump, and sometimes you couldn't get that second jump. I don't know. Maybe I didn't play it long enough. I haven't played it on any other platform. But I know, like on Steam and other platforms, you can use, an Xbox controller. So you're gonna have your traditional, jump and fire, double jump, and maybe because of the top buttons was the reason why I wasn't enjoying it. I don't know, but I also asked their opinion, Tony's opinion on this. I said, it made me think of this after I did part one. I said, is there maybe a way that they'll eventually release single player style controllers for the Amico? Like, kind of like the Atari VCS, where you have, your traditional controller like this to play some games, or the gamepad. So I don't know if that's a possibility. As far as Tony's opinion was that he asked Tommy something like that, and Tommy said that he doesn't plan on making any kind of third-party controller types for different games or something. So I guess we'll just have to get used to it at some point. But again, here's another thing I wanted to mention that no one has mentioned. I did ask Tommy this one while I was playing Finnegan Fox, and then somebody else was playing it. And you know how in, let's say if you go back to Nintendo, you know how you have at certain times between scenes or at the end of a level when you beat a boss or something, you have the blimp with the writing in it, and you have to read it. Like in, let's say in old RPGs, you'd have to read all the text. Or later on, in later systems, there was, like on especially disc-based systems, there would be voice. So like on Finnegan Fox, whenever that came up, when you have to read, I asked Tommy, is there an option to put voice on, instead of reading everything? Will they talk? Will the characters talk? Will they have speech? And he said no. So I don't know if that. I asked him if that's maybe because lean towards kids, so they have to read it, or I just figured maybe it was something that you could add, in the options, text, voices on the text. But he said no, it's going to be all reading. So I don't know if that's a big deal or not, but you know what I mean. A lot of times with the text, we'll just skip through everything and not read it. Or if it voices it, the characters have voices and stuff. I guess not. So I just wanted to hit that up real quick. Like I said about Astro Smash and Flying Tigers, I already mentioned that. Evil Knievel. Okay, I played that. And Darius mentioned this. Again, I want to mention Darius. And by the way, when I mentioned Darius in the part 1 about the things he might say about people, I don't agree with, but he is spot on sometimes about the amico itself. I'm not one that that's gonna ask him or tell him not to do that, because that's his thing. So I mean, he might go over the top sometimes, but that is his channel. That's who he is. So, I mean, I don't know if everyone, I'm not saying I enjoy that at all, but, it could be funny sometimes, like, you know what I mean? Like when it's not personal, he might be a little, he gets me to laugh a lot. Not when he, directs to people personally, but some things he might say about a certain person, with the kids screaming in the background, and you're worried about your games, and and he's got to have it all. He's got to have everything. Just something. But anyway, getting back to what Darius said about Evil Knievel, I think he mentioned this. It should have been simple to play, right? The kids were playing. The kids were doing it fine. I guess you have to steer your rocket, and then it counts down. But the countdown is too long in between. You have to. What's the point? It goes from 10 to. Then you have to. You don't have to launch it until like 3. So it's like 7 seconds of waiting. But whatever. So now you release it. Starts flying. Then at some point when you time it, you just hit the button again, and that's when the parachute comes out, and then it depends where it's going to land, but you really don't have any control over it after that. So it's kind of like a guessing game where it's actually going to land. So that's not my type of game anyway. Even though I think the box art is cool, and I grew up with Evil Knievel, but I didn't care for the game. And it wasn't fun anyway, even if you figured it out. Just, landing in the target. I mean, I don't know. It's just not my kind of game. And even the driving part with the motorcycle, I didn't play that part, but I think Atari Creep was playing it. It just seems so, like, slow and awkward. And it's just not my kind of game altogether. Even though I like that, like I said, I love the cover art on the box. Maybe I'll get a poster of it someday or something. But the game itself, I probably wouldn't even purchase, because this doesn't seem like my kind of game, even though I'm a fan of Evil Knievel. So that covers that. So the fun factor. Shark. I didn't really play it. But I like the concept of that game where you eat the smaller fish, and it's and it does take advantage of the controller, the Amico controller, as far as when you rotate the spinner, it rotates the fish. So I mean, at least that's using the ability of the Amico controller. And then there was something on the screen you had to do too. But like I said, the other games like Astro Smash kind of uses the slide on the screen, but the spinner doesn't do much for you in Astro Smash. So it's it's not taking like full advantage, and you pick your ship on it on the screen. But then once you pick your ship, it doesn't do anything. On Finnegan Fox, I can't remember if the screen itself did something. I don't know if that's what the jump button was. I think it was the top button. But either way, I felt myself not really having fun with Finnegan Fox. And I do like platformers, classic platformers, and platformers in general. But for some reason, I've never, like I said, I never played it on any other platform, so can't compare it. But I would say it doesn't take advantage of the Amico controller. It would probably be easier to use, like a normal gamepad to play it. And I'm not sure if that's why, but I just felt like it was, I don't know, like slow and not fun. I don't know. It's like I'd rather play Aladdin on Sega Genesis. But anyway, that's another game I probably wouldn't bother with. I actually haven't wanted that one from the beginning. So, the fun factor. The fun factor for me as a single player, I would say the only game worth having on launch for me would be the Astro Smash, because it comes with it. So I think, even though the controller sheme is the way I said, I mean, that's still okay. Flying Tigers would probably be my favorite of the games, because of the controller layout and just the game itself. But the overall fun factor, even on the multiplayer games that I'll mention now, is the pool and cornhole. Here's another thing. In the other video, I mentioned the games not being deep. And those two games in particular are, in this way, what I mean. Because there's another question I asked Tommy, and again, I did get an answer, but not the answer I wanted. On the pool game, as you could see, if you watch DJC's video, he shows some footage on the pool game. By the way, I love that video, because DJC puts on the shirt that I gave him, the Odyssey 2 shirt, which was a size too big, I think. He did lose a lot of weight, so I mean, a lot of times these shirts run small, so I went bigger. But anyway, he enjoyed it, and it was a great video. I love DJC. I even told Darius, out of everyone, DJC, got to give him some credit. The guy does have a game room in his house. And I mean a game room, I mean an arcade. This guy's got a full arcade. Check that video out where he shows his arcade room. He's got like a lot of good ones. And it just seems like a fun place to hang out. So, again, when DJC is being sold on the multiplayer, I can see, because he's a multiplayer kind of guy. I guess he has a lot of family and friends over. Obviously, that might be the reason why he has like a full bar in his game room, and in his real game room, like the arcade game room. So I enjoyed that video a lot, and DJC, I guess, he's a hardcore television fan from the beginning, because he had it back in the day with his father. So I can see his joy for this Amico, and I can respect that. But anyway, what was I saying about the fun factor? Oh, pool. Okay, so when I played pool, right? Okay, the sounds are good. The table looks nice. But here's the big things. I used to play a pool game that was very good on my cell phone. It was one of those that went, a lot of people played it. A lot of people had that game. It's still out. And that one's deep, way deeper But here's my problem with the amico pool game. Now, if you watch the videos, you can see where there's lines that show you where the ball's going to go and where you're going to hit the cue ball. Now, I asked Tommy, once this gets too easy, can you take off the lines, the direction lines, to where you have to pretty much guess where you're hitting the ball and where you're going to hit it? Not guess, but kind of like line it up without the lines, with, giving you aid on where you're going to exactly hit it. Because once you have that figured out, the lines, it becomes like too easy. I mean, if you could take off the lines, because the game I used to play on the cell phone, that it allowed you to take off the lines. So it made it harder, and then there's no time limit on taking a shot. So sometimes you could struggle. It should be easy, right? But I guess there's this like tap to set it and then tap again to line it up or something like that. A lot of people some people were having a problem with that. But then I guess once you have it lined up, you could take forever though. I mean, I guess in real pool you could take forever too, but this is on a video game system where you have to line up lines and stuff. And I just feel like you're given too much time. There should be a time limit like that. Even that cell phone game had a time limit, because you could literally struggle to line it up and then take forever to do it. And then my biggest gripe about it is the lines. I mean, once you have the lines, the line is directly showing you where it's going. So then it's just about the speed, really, of how hard you're going to hit it. And once you have that down, it becomes pretty much automatic, the pool game. I mean, if you were able to take off the lines once you learn the game, because the lines that help you set it up is pretty much like a tutorial. Like, it's kind of showing you where you're hitting and where it's going to go. So once you have it lined up right, it's going to definitely go in. So I just feel like that you'll get too good at that game to where it's just going to be easy, too easy. So that's about it there. And then the cornhole I could tell you is not going to be as fun as the bowling game on Wii. Let's put it that way. There's a learning struggle to it. And even when you do learn it, I'll tell you what the problem is with it. It's not so much how far you can go back with the Amico controller. It's on screen where the table is, where the cornhole table is with the hole that you're trying to throw it in. It's just not that far away. It seems like it's right from here to the phone. So it's close. So you don't get that distance feel. So that's when I said these games seemed a little shallow and not deep. So that was my problem with the cornhole game. You're too close to the cornhole table. And then you can't really, once you line it up, then it's as far as how hard you do it. So that's okay. And once you learn how to release the sandbag, then you're good. And I guess it'll be for a pack-in game. Is it? I guess it is. So for a multiplayer game, I guess it's okay to have it, but it's not gonna be the bowling for Wii. Put it that way. That's all I wanted to say. So that's it with that. So I don't know. I mean, as far as the pizza goes, this all started with Pat and Ian saying that Tommy's a true Italian and he went to Boston and he didn't get a real pizza. He got Domino's. Okay, I obviously can attest that it wasn't Domino's, but it also wasn't what Pat was referring to as far as Boston inner city Italian section of the North End pizza. because they have famous pizza like that in every big city, like Chicago. New Haven, Connecticut is known for good Italian pizza. So I know where he was going with that. So to make it clear, they came over from the other place. They hadn't really eaten since breakfast, I guess, or early lunch. So they were hungry, and Tommy said, well, order some pizza. And like I said in my other video, they went next door. It was literally right next door. It was called Harry's Famous Pizza. It was the most convenient place to get it. It was Greek style pizza. So I could see where Pat was going with that, because I met Pat in the Retro World a few times, and that's in Connecticut. So whenever he comes in this area, he says that the New Haven pizza is, that's one of the things he looks forward to. And I know what he's talking about. And you can get that pizza in inner city Boston in the North End. But you got to remember that these events, I'm not sure about the first one, but the one that I was at in Uxbridge was about a half-hour drive from Boston. So it wasn't exactly what Pat thought. Like, I think Pat was thinking that this was in Boston, like the city. It wasn't in the city of Boston, where the pizza would have been a lot better, let's say. It is what it is. It wasn't the worst pizza. It wasn't the best pizza. It was good enough. It was Greek style. So I could see where they were going with that, but it definitely wasn't Domino's, but whatever with that. And then I just want to end it off by saying I have joined the Spinner Club, as Darius said. I joined Turbo Joe, and I'm part of the Spinner Club. Now, I mentioned getting my 50th sub. I think I'm at 52 now if I don't lose anyone and go back under 50. But anyway, I think this is what I was going to do for the giveaway. So let's do that. So now that I'm at 50, we'll celebrate by giving away the spinner so someone else can join the Spinner Club. So I guess we'll do this. We'll give it a couple days, maybe a week. I don't know. Comment on this video. Comment anything you want, really. Maybe we'll comment your favorite game or your favorite game system of all time. How's that? Okay, so just comment your favorite gaming system of all time, and then once I get at least over 10 entries, at least 10, or let's do this, since it's my 50th sub. How about we wait until there's 25 comments of your favorite console of all time. And then I'll generate the names, and someone will win the spinner. How's that? And I'll send it out. So one spinner, I'll leave the Spinner Club and I'll let someone else be in the Spinner Club. How's that? All right. So there's that. And then with all this said, and I'm going to give you a final answer after I mention two more things. Now, your question at the end of this should be, so are you still going to get an Amico? And my answer is yes. I still will buy the Amico when it's released publicly, and I can go to my local store and buy it off the shelf. I will buy it. And I don't think the $250 price range is too high. That is not a problem. It's not too high. Will I be buying it for what it's for? Exactly, for the multiplayer, for the Coach Co-op, for the, not necessarily. Will I be buying it for maybe just a few games at first? Yeah. Now, you might ask why. After all this, you're not happy with most of the stuff. Why are you still buying it at that price? And my answer is I'm a collector and I enjoy simple games. And the 250 to me is not overpriced. I'm still gonna buy it. With all this said, I'm still a buyer. I mean, even if it's just for Flying Tigers at first, it doesn't matter, because this is what it is. I'll give you the final thoughts on my final thoughts of what this is. Okay, this Amico gets released. It's something we've never seen before. The look of it, the style of it, the controllers, the lights. It's like nothing you've never seen before, right? So, is it possibly a Ferrari okay, it's a Ferrari that doesn't go over 60 miles an hour? You could look at it that way. A Ferrari looks nice, right? It's a nice looking car. So the Amico, to me, even though other people think differently, I think it's going to be a unique looking it's console with cool, unique controllers. Like I said, with lights. It just looks nice, right? So do you have to have it? Not necessarily for the games, or just it's a Ferrari, right? So let's say it's a Ferrari that can't go over 60 miles an hour. That's pretty much what it is with the games for the Amico. Not being deep, being simple, some not being too fun. So it's a Ferrari that doesn't go over 60. So, would I still want the Ferrari and go 55? There you go. Now, the best thing I could say compare-wise is related to the Amico's do you have to have it factor. Would you rather watch a movie in a dump, but it's a good movie, a great movie, probably one of the best movies you've ever watched in your life, but it was in a dump movie theater? Okay? Or would you rather watch a shitty, boring, one of the worst movies you ever watched in your life in a palace? What do you think? So I'm thinking the Amico's a palace, and you're not going to exactly be watching the greatest movie in your lifetime. Or you could play better movies. You could in a dump.